I have been seeing some of the most amazing videos about BRICS, this global cooperated agreement between countries in South America, Russia, China, and India. And I have been seeing what I want to call clumsy economic propositions. I saw this one video where they're going to launch this BRICS currency, right? It would be 55 American dollars that will equate to one BRICS currency. And I saw this guy say that those Jordans that you could have got for $250, they're gonna go up to $2,500. And I was just listening to this. Let me explain to you why the BRICS currency adaptation is not going to impact the American dollar for 15 to 20 years, if at all. Number one, let's go back to the euro. This was something that was talked about for 10 years before it happened, and then it was activated for 3 years before it actually started to have an effect on the European economy. Now, this is where BRICS gets really interesting. With the European economy, many of these countries are very similar and they have agreements. BRICS, it's not like that. South America, which is now tightening back up to the United States, and India, which is also trying to reform an alliance with the United States. Very different countries. You want to start a business, you want to set up a holding company, an operating company, you want to get yourself some business credit, you want to learn how to run a business, you want to start your first online business. If you want to do that, and congratulations to you for being a person that wants more out of life, for being that person that's ready to sit down, do the work so your future can be brighter. I got something for you. Go below and enter into the Corporate Citizen Playbook, where we teach you all of that, plus a lot more. Because you are not a normal, regular person. You want more out of life. You want to do more, you want to be more, you want to have more. And congratulations to you. So the link is below. Go ahead and check out this video, and then go ahead and enroll in the Corporate Citizen Playbook, where I teach you some things that you cannot Google. Can't Google it. Can't Google it at all. Africa, very different country. China. Now this is where this thing gets very, very interesting. Who do you think is China's largest customer in the world? The United States. And let me explain something to you. If you have a company that you're producing, let's say Project X, and Project X is $250, and your customers can buy Project X for $250. Now, let's say you're one night sitting at home and you're smoking crack or snorting cocaine, and you decide, we're going to raise the price to $2,500. And you raise the price of $2,500. Guess what's going to happen? That company is going to go out of business. See, you cannot arbitrarily adjust the price to whatever you want it, thinking that the marketplace is going to follow. You want an example? Sure, let's talk about current real estate. Right now, there's a lot of brand new apartments that are charging $3,000 to $4,000 per month. There are many what I call the failed Airbnb entrepreneur that have regular houses on Zillow for extraordinarily high rent prices. So this house, regular house, nothing special about it. It's fully furnished. They wanted $8,500 per month for that house. Guess what? That house has been listed for about 6 months. And guess what? That house is still sitting empty. It's a regular house. There's nothing special. There's nothing extraordinary about it. So what? It's furnished. Big whoop. Here's the thing. The people in the income category that can afford to pay $100,000 a year in rent are not going to rent a regular, normal house. These people are in a position, they can pay $100,000 a year in rent. They can buy $1 million house and furnish it the way that they want to. And that's what most of them are going to do, because like me, there is no way in hell I would go ahead and rent that house and pay them $8,500 for a regular house. You want to know why? My last house was a $1 million house, and guess what my mortgage was? $3,500 per month. So I know from practical experience that I can get a house much nicer. The house was 5,000 square feet. This house that they're trying to rent is like 2,200 square feet. So essentially, as a country, China cannot go ahead and say, hey, now we're going to raise the prices of Apple computers, which are made in China. We're going to raise the prices of all these shoes, which are made in China. They cannot just say, hey, we're going to go ahead and arbitrarily and dramatically raise the price of this product to the point that no one can buy it and go out of business. That's not going to happen. And I've literally seen, and I'm not going to say these people are dumb. I'm going to say that they don't understand how economics worked, and they don't understand how business works, and they have no clue to what they're talking about. Because number one, the BRICS currency hasn't been formed yet. And once again, it's supposed to come out in November. I would not hold my breath that it's going to come out in November. I have a great deal of confidence that I don't think it's going to come out in November. I think it's going to be delayed. And this is why, because India, South America, China, Russia, all of these countries are very, very different. And that's going to create some problems. They recently decided to open up BRICS to allow more countries in. And that seems to be a problem. With all of these things, and I just explained to you why this dramatic inflation due to BRICS is not going to happen. You cannot put a product on the table in the marketplace that no one can afford. Right now, with real estate, we're seeing a lot of houses that are just sitting. They're sitting empty because no one can afford these high rental rates. And in time, after so much pain, and once again, these greedy landlords, and I'm going to say it, they're greedy. They're greedy. I'll share a story with you in a minute. These greedy landlords feel that they can get all of this money for rent without improving the property, without doing anything, without making it special. And the marketplace is like, we don't like that. We're not going to rent your property. I am in the real estate market, and I found this house that sold for $1.5 million in 2019. Here in 2023, they're trying to get $3 million. Let me go ahead and say this correctly. Wait a minute, a house that they got a mortgage for, because they didn't pay $1.5 million. They got a mortgage for $1.5 million. They put X amount of dollars down. So now they're trying to get twice what they paid for it. And the house has been sitting and sitting and sitting and sitting. Because here's the thing, and let me just go ahead. When I was dealing with my real estate agent, and he quickly says, you're not the normal buyer. Because when I look at a property, I go look at the tax records, I see what they paid. I want to have an approximation of who I'm dealing with. And I'm just sitting there like, there's no way that I'm gonna give you $3 million for a house that you paid $1.5 million less than 4 years ago. I'm not doing it. Call me petty. I'm not doing it. And apparently, a lot of other people who looked at this house and said, I'm not doing it. So here's the thing, and this is why I say they're greedy. I can understand getting in real estate, getting a property, selling the property, making a profit. I have no problem with that. But if you're going to buy a house for $1.5 million and in a few years try to sell it for $3 million, good luck. Because the educated, the savvy, the sophisticated buyers with high credit scores, cash money to put down, are not going forward. I literally just look at it every now and then just to see if they drop the price. And this is one of the things that you could tell that a property's struggling. Zillow is the devil. You can delist your house on Zillow and put it back up, and Zillow's gonna have a record of the house was listed, the house was removed. This house has been removed 5 times and relisted, and it ain't budging. It ain't budging. Because here's the thing, like with BRICS, you cannot arbitrarily just dramatically raise the price of your product, of your service, and expect people to buy it. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen unless you can provide example and framework to justify this large increase in price. It's just not going to happen. And people are, once again, these people are not dumb or stupid. They're just unsophisticated. They don't know how the economy works. They don't understand how the market works. Like take China. China makes the China imports make up 10% of what we get here in America per year. 10%. Let's go ahead and have this argument. Let's say BRICS worked and they arbitrarily raised the price. What would happen with that 10%? Those 10% of goods that are imported, smart entrepreneurs are like, man, there's an opportunity here. So that 10% that China was sending us, they would, within a matter of 2 to 5 years, create American industries to sell those products from the homegrown land to combat those prices. That's what would happen. It wouldn't, like if a pair of Jordans were sitting on the shelf for $2,500, 99% of their customer base could not afford those shoes. So let's say China was smoking crack, snorting cocaine, and they raised their prices. Literally, all of those businesses in China would go out of business. They would go out of business because they've created a product that their customer base cannot afford. Just like, once again, I'm in the real estate market. I'm looking at it very carefully. And whenever I see something where someone is trying to be, in my opinion, extremely greedy, I feel that if you pay 1.5 million for a house and then a few years later you want to sell it for 3, that's not a normal market appreciation. That's just pure, unselfish, unbridled greed. That's all that is. And with that house, which I can go ahead and look, it's still on the market. There's a reason that it's still on the market. So this is one of the reasons that BRICS and all of this other stuff is not going to begin to even touch the American dollar. Number one, the number of countries that sell us stuff is quite small. I know you hear everything comes from China, everything. Also, let's talk about this. Let's talk about Apple, which owns the factories that make products in China. Apple, an American company, owns these factories. You think Apple is going to dramatically raise the price to where their customer cannot afford it? Apple, the trillion-dollar company, you think they're going to do that? No, they're not. So Apple would do whatever they have to do to dramatically change or enforce or whatever. So we're not going to see these crazy dramatic prices no time soon unless people in China start snorting a little and smoking crack. We're not going to see it. And this is going to take years and years and years to work its way through the system with India, South America, Africa, and Russia. It's going to take time and effort, because let's go ahead and talk about, what does India produce that we want? What does South America produce that we want? And when you look at it, it's not that much. So even if India, South America, China, South Africa, what does South Africa produce that we want? Nothing. Not a lot. And this is one of the things. So number one, you're not producing a lot that we want. So whatever you're producing, you cannot alter or dramatically raise the prices, because what happens is another competitor will come into the marketplace and will sell against you on price. That's not phantom. That's 100% given. That's 100% given. Because, you know, like I see these TikTok videos and I'm just sitting there like, number one, none of these people have ever run a business. They don't know about pricing. They don't know about marketplaces. They don't know about dynamics. All they can do is sit there and put out their opinions. And that's something we all can do. That's what I'm doing. Right now, I'm putting out my opinion. But BRICS is not going to touch the American economy or the American dollar 15 to 20 years, if then. So if you're worried about BRICS dramatically creating inflation in your personal economy, don't even worry about it. Don't even worry about it. It's not going to happen. And how do I know this? Years and years ago, and this is where we will split ways. I've advised people not to invest in cryptocurrency, and Bitcoin is crashing again. It's not back to 15,000, but it's gone down to 26,000. And Bitcoin, which is supposed to be immune to all these marketplace forces, seems to be deeply impacted by these marketplace forces. So with my predictions, I was 100% right. So one of the things that you have to understand is when you're talking about global economics, we're talking super huge dynamic marketplaces. And super huge dynamic marketplaces do not turn in a month. And many times it takes several years for these marketplaces to be impacted and for them to change. Years. So if you don't want to be worried about BRICS, I got something for you. I got the Corporate Citizen Playbook, where I teach you how to set up a holding company. And let's go ahead and talk about this, because right now there's a lot of guys who do credit card videos. And there's one thing that they tell you is that you can only get American Express bonuses and Chase bonuses one time. I have a method that's in the Corporate Citizen Playbook. I have not one, not two, but 3 American Express Platinum cards, and I've gotten a bonus for each card. hard. This is something that I teach in the Corporate Citizen Playbook, which will dramatically put your business credit seeking habits on fire. We teach you how to set up the holding company, the operating company, the business banking, and more importantly, we teach you how to set up a company that's organized so you can make some money. The link is below. That's all I got for you guys today. I will see you in the next video.